call the City of Apache Junction Council meeting to order. Invocation will be led by Vice Mayor Wilson and the pledge by Councilmember Barker.
Heavenly Father, we are gathered again this wonderful, cool evening to perform city business. We again ask for your guidance for us and our staff as we continue to keep our community a great place to live, work, raise a family, and have a business. We strive to keep our community a small feeling and one that works together for the best of the entire community. We have, again, enjoyed the cooler weather as we continue to enjoy all the outside activities. And we will remember this, cool temperatures in the middle of July. We again ask for your protective hand for our first responders as they continue to protect us and our belongings. We extend this to our military members and their families wherever they are serving throughout the world. Bring them all home safe each and every day. In the Lord's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a roll call?
Mayor Surtee,
Here.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Barker. Here. Councilmember Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Struble.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
I want to remind everyone as you speak tonight, speak into the mic close and that otherwise it doesn't get picked up. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'm not
Me.
prepared.
I don't have my computer on.
Motion, here it is.
Yeah.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the consent agenda be accepted as presented and that the minutes of the regular meeting of January 21st, 2020 be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Struble.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Mayor Surtee.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
We do have an award tonight. Do you want Heidi? With all three of us? Yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, this is something that the Focal Point and Tourism Committee came up with several years ago about light decorating for Christmas. And Krista, can you explain more and
I sure
tell them
can.
what we do?
So, Your Honor, this was our third annual holiday decorating competition. It's for all local businesses and organizations in the community. We're hoping to make AJ, Apache Junction, a go-to place for people to come and visit and see Christmas lights and visit the businesses that are decorated. And so this year, we're super excited to announce our winner is the Handlebar Pub and Grill for 2019. And we have the plaque to award. We have a member of the chamber, Heidi is here. She's on the Focal Point, she's on the committee, the decorating committee, so we'd like to have her come up, and we'd like to have Candace from the Handlebar come up.
So I think as there's a winner next year, then they give that up, and then it stays at the business, whoever has it for the year.
So
like
the
a
winner
cup.
keeps the plaque for 1 year, and they get to sport it at their business and proudly share it with their customers. And then next year, as a winner is selected, might be the same business or whoever, they get it next. It's a rotating plaque.
Okay, and I have one proclamation. A lot of people probably saw in the news. It was the women's suffrage movement. So this is a proclamation celebrating the 100th anniversary of the League of Women Voters of the United States. Whereas the League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 as a mighty political experiment by the foremothers of the suffragist movement at the National American Women's Suffrage Association. And whereas the great state of Arizona, although new to statehood in 1920, was among the first 10 states to recognize the women's vote. Whereas the League's goal was to help the 20 million women who were granted the right to vote by the 19th Amendment understand and carry out their new responsibility as voters. And whereas with the success of this effort and the tireless effort over the last 100 years to strengthen and uphold its mission to empower voters, defend democracy, protect and strengthen voting rights and access, its commitment to register, educate, and mobilize voters, the League has become a trusted, nonpartisan grassroots organization. And whereas the League champions government systems that are open, transparent, inclusive, and equitable, irrespective of gender, ethnicity, or political affiliation, and the hallmark of democracy. And now, therefore, it be proclaimed February 14th, 2020, as a League of Women Voters Day. We honor and congratulate the League of Women Voters on its 100th anniversary and commend the League for its significant contributions to empowering voters and making democracy work. And I don't think there's anyone here to receive this, is there? So, if so, we will get it to the right people, so. Any announcements or current events? We'll start with Jeff.
On January 26th, we held the 3rd annual AJ Kids Idol, and it's an event where we have our local youth come in and perform their talents. Just wanted to announce the winners this year. In the K through 6, we had a duet that won. Their names are Ava Certain and Jade Grogan. They're from Avalon. And then for the 7th through 12th grade, Avery Fisher won, and then the fan favorite was Cole Denham. Just want to thank everybody who came out and supported us, and look forward to next year.
Yes, first off, I want to thank the ROTC from our local high school for inviting my wife and myself to their annual Navy Ball. Of course, I'm a retired Air Force individual, so an Air Force went to a Navy Ball was a new experience for me. But it was very enjoyable to see these cadets and these young individuals as they're working forward. And one of the things that came out in talking to one of the individuals there, he's a senior. He's just been notified that he has received 3 full scholarships, one to university, ASU, one to NAU, and one to Ohio State. So he has 3 choices, but he's holding off before he responds because he is the first one that has actually had an application in and has been gone through all the prerequisites that he needs to do to put an application to the academies, Naval Academy and to the Army Academy. And he's very excited with the idea of going to the Army Academy in New York State. Of course, his mother doesn't want him. She wants to stay local, but he's very excited about it. In talking to the captain, there's 3 more coming up next year that are very well on their way to meet all the requirements for getting on to a recommendation to the academy. And of course, you have to meet a lot of requirements in order to be able to go for it. And plus, you have to be recommended by one of our national legislators. And Mr. Gosar is the one that did the recommendation for him to continue on. So it showed that we do have some fantastic, very, individuals at our local school, excuse me, I almost said university, our school, and they are moving forward, and I want to promote them as very much as I can.
Robin?
Yeah, don't forget the marathon this weekend, next weekend. Lost Dutchman Marathon will be run on the 16th. Oh, great. On the 16th of February. Haven't seen the sign-ups yet, but they're usually crowded to the maximum by this point in the game. Also, there will be a statewide youth basketball hoop shoot held at Cactus Canyon Junior High on the 15th of this month at 10 a.m. sharp. And we have an AJ girl who is going to be competing in that. Yeah, Brooklyn Nisi will be competing for the 12 and 13-year-old bracket. And we're hoping that she can shoot those hoops and make it to the regional finals in Las Vegas.
Whoa.
So go attend that. That should be fun to watch.
I don't have anything, Your Honor.
Matt, Councilmember Evans is ill. I think Matt has something that he wanted to read for Councilmember Evans.
Yeah, just a couple of items of note from Councilmember Evans. One is this event on Saturday, February 8th, Project Connect. As you can see details here, this is right here in the center. It's a one-day, one-stop event to provide access to free services, resources, and referrals for community members. There's 3 locations: our multi-generational center, the Genesis Project, and Apache Junction Food Bank. So those, as you can see on the flyer, help free on-site services regarding all of these items down here for those that may need help in those areas.
Okay,
There's one more, sorry, Mayor, from Councilmember Evans. Horizon Health and Wellness this Saturday, February 22nd, the Family Fun Fest, a new event that they're putting on there, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Earth Heart Park.
yes, and that's not the ladybug thing.
Correct.
Okay,
That's not
too cold for ladybugs right now. Okay, so I just want to remind everybody that our event season we're in full swing right now. This is when there's something to do every weekend. And it's also State of the Union season, State of the State season, State of the City season. Just this morning, Mesa, I heard on the radio, they had their State of the City. They had 900 people there. And I think you have to pay like $50 a person to go to it. Well, just so happens that next Wednesday is our State of the City event, and it's free to everyone. We want everyone to not be excluded. It's at the high school auditorium or Performing Arts Center, and it's going to be all about events. We always pick a theme every year. This year we picked What Is There to Do? We have more to do than anybody in East Valley. So come on out, bring your family, and we got a brand new couple videos queued up, and you'll just see just exactly what there is to do out here. So hope you come. That's 6 o'clock on Wednesday. It actually starts about 6:30, but at 6 o'clock you can mingle. You can meet, like I said, Sheriff Lamb's usually there. All of the council will be there. Chief of Police, anybody you want to rub elbows with also, so.
Cole's going to sing the national anthem.
Okay. And the Assistant City Manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bryant Powell, City Manager, is on his way. He was at senior night with his daughter over at the high school, so I know he's en route right now. Tonight on the agenda for the City Manager's report, we have Fox Young from our Development Services Department, Revenue Development Division, to give us our annual update about the Friends of Apache Junction, the CDC, as well as corporate sponsorship. So I'll invite Fox to come on up.
Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm going to be giving a very brief program and resource update for the city And to get started, I will start with the Friends of Apache Junction. This year, past year, 2019, over $57,000 was donated to the Friends. And with that money, the Friends was able to support over $45,000 worth of events, programs, and improvements for the city. The rest of the money is being held for programs and events this year and invoices that will be coming due. So almost all the money that's donated in goes back out into the community. The Friends only keeps 2% of what's donated for their administrative fees to pay like insurance, things of that nature. And even of that money, a lot of it they end up donating back into the community as well. So it's a very, very awesome thing that they do for the community. It's a great service, and I do want to thank all the people who donate for that. The new Friends of Apache Junction interactive website is going to be going live at the end of February. With this website, people will be able to donate directly from there, so they won't have to go to PayPal or any place like that. It's a secured server. It'll have a lot of information. They'll have events going on, current projects, so it'll make it much easier for everybody in the community to get involved. The 2019 golf tournament brought in $7,500, and the next one, I believe, is in late April, and they're hoping to top that amount. That was one of the largest amounts that they had ever received, so they're hoping to do even better, and that money goes directly back into the community. So everybody out there, please join in, sign up for it. You will actually be able to sign in through the website this year to make it even easier. The Apache Junction Community Development Corporation, their main event this year was the Make a Difference Day event, which I know some of you were there in attendance. There was over 130 volunteers from the community that came out to that event, so it was a great turnout. There were some wonderful projects that went on. The Medium Project on the Apache Trail, where trees and plants were put in there to help beautify the area. The Think Desert Project at Flatiron Park, where more plants, trees were planted there, trails were beautified, made better and more accessible. And there was also several neighborhood enhancement projects that went on for people who were not able to get out and do work in their own yard, like cleaning weeds, some debris and trash that had fallen down from the storms. There had been a lot of flooding that had gone on, so some of those projects helped out with that. The next day of service, the Make a Difference Day, is tentatively scheduled for October 10th of this year, so we'd like to invite everybody to come on out and participate in that. Corporate partnerships. The total city benefit this year was over $63,000, which was up from last calendar year, and that was this calendar year. Parks and Recreation got the largest amount of that. They got just a hair over $34,000. I think it came in at $34,005. The Public Library was next. They got over $21,000. And the Police Department was over $7,000. And we are hoping to greatly exceed that this year. To end, I'd just like to thank everybody in the community, all the partners, and everyone who helped support the community this year, and we hope you do so in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. When people go to donate on this website, once you get it up and running, can they designate where they want it to go?
Absolutely, that's another one of the great features of this. They'll just be able to click, and it'll say if they want it to go to Paws and Claws or to the Park and Recreation Department. So wherever they want it to go, it'll be nice and easy and simple for them to do it. They won't have to worry about going to PayPal and trying to find the comments section where they can put that in.
Perfect. Can't wait for that to be up and running. That's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Public hearing, public presentation, discussion, public hearing, and consideration of proposed ordinance number 1487, Larry and Kelsey.
Hi.
Good evening, council members. My name is Kelsey Shatnick. I am now a planner here on staff. And tonight I'm going to be presenting the Arizona Water Company's rezoning request. So the current operations facility of the Arizona Water Company is located at 2380 West Southern Avenue. It currently consists of 3 parcels, which are about 6.91 acres in total. And as it sits, each parcel is zoned something different. So the first parcel is zoned B1 General Commercial. The second is B1 by Plan Development, General Commercial by Plan Development. And then the third is Medium High Density Single Family Detached Residential, or RS7. And the proposed request is to rezone all 3 parcels to Public and Institutional by Plan Development in order to facilitate a lot combination and expand the facility. So in terms of surrounding zoning, to the west and the north, you have primarily residential. To the east, you have some commercial, and then to the south is Pinal County, which is also residential. In terms of background information, this is not a new use in the neighborhood. The Arizona Water Company has had an operations facility at this location since 1993. And within the past 2 years, they purchased a 3rd parcel in order to expand the facility. And the proposed additions will be constructed in 2 phases over the next few years, which will include constructing additional office space, warehouse, storage facilities, and parking. And this is kind of a preliminary site plan. I know there's a lot going on. So in the lower left-hand corner, outlined in green, is the operations facility that currently exists. In the lower right-hand corner, outlined in purple, is essentially phase 1, which includes the office building as well as customer parking. And then to the north, outlined in orange, is the storage facilities as well as company parking. In terms of public input, the applicant held a meeting on December 5th, 2019, and 19 people attended. The city also sent out public hearing notices noting the time, place, and proposed request, and staff has not received any comments regarding this request. So staff recommendation is to approve PZ-8-19, subject to the standard conditions of approval found in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, and the applicant is here as well.
Any discussion before we ask for the
I have a
applicant?
question.
Yes.
Yeah, Kelsey, the storage unit, I think it's equipment storage on the north of
On
the
the north.
second phase.
Yes.
How high is that? What's the height on it? Because you've got residential immediately behind them, I mean, right on top of it, so.
I don't know if they have not provided elevations for these storage units
I'm
yet.
just concerned that if a person's sitting in their backyard, they're gonna be looking at a storage shed.
And maybe the applicant knows, but
Okay.
yeah, as of right now, I don't believe they've submitted any elevations about
My
that.
second question has to do with lighting on the corner of Delaware and Southern. There's a very dim light there at this point in time. Is that lighting going to be brightened somewhat so that when you turn, you don't run into their fence?
You know, I'm not sure if the engineer had mentioned lighting in his comments, but that's definitely something we can bring up.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the applicant is here. Perhaps they could answer that question or tell us anything else about the project.
Hello,
Everyone's looking to one another.
Or not.
or not.
One thing I did want to point out, I was just talking to Mike Weaver, we're gonna redo Southern.
Right.
So there will be Southern, or lighting as part of Southern.
Okay.
And the other
does
thing to
that
note-
include that corner?
Yes, all along Southern's gonna have curb gutter sidewalk, but even on the county side. And then the other thing I want to point it out that has been kind of an issue in the community is that southwest corner. You can see there is really no vision corner there.
Right.
So we appreciate working with Arizona Water and making that more of a safer intersection, so that,
Gonna be a turn
I
lane
think-
there?
I don't know the project details. Mike is,
We've talked about that before.
okay. 5 lanes? Yeah, center turn
Okay.
lane, yeah.
So the center lane will be the turn lane, okay, that's good.
Mike, can you come up and talk to that? I think we've had that question before.
Yeah, that
Thank you, Mike.
came out of a neighborhood meeting, Mike.
Yeah. it came out of the neighborhood, and we know the answer when you do, but that's on Southern coming west.
The roadway will be similar to what it is closer to Ironwood, so it will be, like Al said, 5 lanes, turn lane. And I believe the lighting is just on the north side of the road, so.
Yes, there is one small little dinky
Yeah,
light
and
there that
The
leads you
project
to
will,
believe that you could actually turn here, when in reality, you better be a little further west or you'll run into the curb there.
correct, but this should
Okay.
improve.
Yeah, we had a lot of neighbors that were concerned about that last week.
And I did not realize they're cutting that corner off there. That is great news, so.
Okay, thank you.
Did the applicant want to speak? Yes.
I don't want to really speak.
Hi, my name is Nick Maxwell. I'm the applicant. Arizona Water Company is also here to answer questions as well. Yes, that's correct. The site visibility triangle on the corner there will be opened up, so it'll be more visible at the intersection. And the storage on the north side of the site is expected to be 12, 16 feet tall, with a 10-foot buffer between that and the 6-foot tall fence along the north end of the property.
So you have 12 feet to 6 feet, and the properties there mostly have fences themselves.
Yes, that's correct.
Concrete walls, so you'll have 1, 2. Is there an open zone between the residential walls and your wall?
No, there is not. The wall comes up right against the existing residential walls in the back right now.
Wow. Okay.
We're not proposing to increase the height of that wall. It's
Okay,
6 feet
It's
tall right
6
now,
feet,
and it'll
yes.
remain that.
yes. And the view shed will allow for that 12 feet on that equipment storage so that it doesn't interfere with neighbors sitting in their backyard?
We can make that accommodation and move
Okay.
it further south.
Yeah.
Certainly,
I think that would
yes.
be better, because they're gonna have 2 walls there anyway, so they're gonna have, what, a foot, 2 feet, or whatever it is the top of a wall is.
Yeah. To clarify, it's just one wall on the northern boundary.
But I mean their wall, too. The neighbors will have their own wall.
It'll be the same wall.
Oh,
Well,
the
they'll
same
share-
wall.
They'll share a wall, yeah.
They'll share a wall.
I apologize
Thank you.
for the
Now, that
confusion.
makes me feel better. Okay, if they share a wall, it's a wall they already have, and you move that a little bit forward so that they have decent backyard area, then I feel better about it. Thank you so much for
Okay.
answering my question.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant, any others? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion among council? Then I will ask, is this a public hearing? Would anyone like to speak on this item?
George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia Street of AJ. Can we put that back up? The southwest yard, that's what it is to me, a yard where they work, park and do their stuff. I don't see a reason why they can't move that easement, that back set, which is required by law anyway, back 20 feet, which is a corporate offset requirement. It's 15, 20 feet, whatever it is. They should be able to move that east to accommodate another turning lane into there without any problems. I don't think that's a big stretch to ask them to do that, and it will probably be less of a problem for Mr. Weaver and company. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
I have one
Would
more
l-
comment, Your
yeah.
Honor, if I may. Just a point of clarification. My concern on a turn lane was actually coming from the west, going east and turning into Delaware at that point. That's where it's blind. It's not bad coming from the east, it's going
Yeah.
east.
Does Larry or Mike, do you feel you need to address that issue?
believe the project ends at Delaware, so basically what there'll be is a taper there. I cannot tell you right now if they allowed for that in that taper coming from the west or not, so I will look that up.
Please do, because
Yep.
that is a very dangerous turn. And it stops traffic all the way back to the light when somebody wants to turn at certain times of the day. It's ridiculous.
It gets, yeah, I'll just have to look it up and
Thank
get you
you.
that information.
I appreciate
You bet.
that.
If no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1487 be read by title only and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Struble?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1487, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, amending the Apache Junction, Arizona zoning ordinance by amending the zoning district map, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, changing the zoning district classification for the property described in rezoning case PZ-8-19, a request by Arizona Water Company, represented by Nicholas Maxwell of Coe and Van Loo Consultants, rezoning 6.91 acres zoned general commercial B-1, general commercial by plan development B-1-PD, and medium high density single-family detached residential RS-7 to public and institutional by plan development PI-PD, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
Is there a motion on what the clerk just read?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the ordinance number 1487 as read by the city clerk be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Struble?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Mayor Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Presentation, discussion, public hearing, and possible consideration of the proposed AJ general plan up until 2050, legendary landscapes and lifestyles. Larry?
Or not.
That's not Larry.
It'll be just as good.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Sidney Arias, Senior Planner here on staff. As you remember, about a month ago, I was before you and gave you a presentation regarding the general plan. At that presentation, I gave you an overview of the public input process, the surveys that were held, the neighborhood meetings, and the input that we received from the Planning Commission. We also went over the formatting of the plan and the 12 elements, such as the land use, the housing element, and the growth area element. Since then, staff has made some very small administrative edits, which we will go through shortly. And also since that last month, we've held 2 public hearings that were mandated at the Planning Commission. The last Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission has recommended approval of the plan to the City Council, and that is why we're here before you tonight. The administrative edits that were done were very small. The vision and mission of the city was moved up into the document, so it's right after the table of contents. We also updated information about the ethnic composition of the city. The U.S. Census Bureau had updated information that they just came up with, and that table was updated. We've also updated the water and wastewater service map that was referenced quite a number of times in the document. And then we've made 2 text corrections. The first text correction was in the downtown element, we corrected the minimum density, which is 13 dwelling units an acre. And then we've also used we've also updated the intergovernmental element to note the exact language that was found in the resolution between the city of AJ and the town of Queen Creek regarding boundaries, which would be the SR 24. Before I finish this presentation, this very short presentation, I want to take time and thank the residents of the Apache Junction. Without them, this plan wouldn't be possible. We've had quite a bit of input from the city. We've given quite a number of presentations to groups here in the city, and they've provided us great content that has shaped the plan before you tonight. I also want to thank the City Council tonight. And I also want to thank the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission has really gone page by page, paragraph by paragraph, element by element during work sessions and public hearings to provide us comments. And I wanted to thank them for their dedication. I also want to thank the city staff. This has been a collective effort. This has been a group effort. I especially want to thank Matt McNulty for formatting the plan. He's had quite a bit of patience with us from changing the plan and editing the plan and going back and forth. So thank you all for working on this plan. With that said, staff and the Planning Commission is seeking approval for the 2020 general plan for ratification in August. Before I finish, Larry would like to say a few words.
Not to have the last word because we're going to have a public hearing and they will. But just again to reiterate, Matt McNulty, just the kudos to Matt and all the effort he did. I know he's working on the state of the city and all these things going on, but he really did great work on this, and the Planning Commission as well, as Sydney said. Just a couple of the items just to point out. We adopt it in 2020, but it's really not the 2020 plan. We're looking 30 years out. So a lot of these plans, we do it every 10 years. We're not looking 10 years, just so the public knows. With the mission and the vision of the city, we're really trying to create a blueprint, if you will, for what the city might look like 30 years from now. A couple of the unique things I think were mentioned last time, but if folks are new here tonight, most cities don't have at least cities our size have a downtown element, so I think that is very unique to our plan. Sydney already mentioned the intergovernmental cooperation element, which is not a required element in the state statute, but we're allowed to have it, and I think nothing really gets done without partners. So we have heavy reference to the Apache Junction Unified School District, Pinal County, Town of Queen Creek, the BLM, federal partners, state agencies, the 2 counties. So the plan really gets implemented, I think, in part because we are cooperating with our neighbors, which I think is a hallmark for this community. Tonto National Forest, BLM, et cetera. I mentioned last time the water element is not the water element, it's the AJ1H2O element, which again, I think is just kind of maybe a play on words, but the city really is poised for growth. We know that in the South, and we can't really do that without water. So we really want to look at water holistically. And again, kudos to Frank Blanco, who retired, but he really was the visionary to try to pull that element together, that we are looking at water not as just groundwater or water out of the CAP canal, but we're looking at water as part of the whole water cycle. And then again, the housing element is not just the housing element. It's the neighborhood preservation, revitalization, and housing element. We know we have some neighborhoods in the city that need work, and this plan sets forth some strategies to do that. So again, kudos to the Community Development Corporation and others who are working to improve neighborhoods. I think the other piece of this is in the land use element that we heard, I think, loud and clear when we were doing the active transportation plan, and we carried that forward in this element, is we all know that we have 6 miles on the north part of the city, and we have 6 miles on the east part of the city to Silly Mountain. Much of it's BLM, a lot of it's state trust land, but we also have 15,000 acres south of baseline of state trust land. So I think what's going to set this community apart 30 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, is if we can respect that area that between Lost Dutchman and McKellips and really make that permanent open space. So in the plan, we call it conservation. We have talked to the state land department. By state statute, we can call that conservation in our plan. They're entitled to, if you will, 1 unit per acre. So, but if that land ever develops, which might be a long time out because there's not water and sewer there, but we can cluster that development to try to preserve as much open space. So again, I just wanted to point out what I think some of the key hallmarks of this plan that may be different than what you saw a decade ago. And I think it really looks forward out 30 years. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you, and thank you everybody for their help and participation on this.
Is that the whole presentation? Okay. Brian, anything to add or any
Certainly, I just want to say thank you to Larry and the team. as well. We have an exceptional group that can be able to take on a project like this. City managers in Queen Creek and Buckeye will request from their council $250,000 to $400,000 to run a 2-year process. So I'm extremely grateful that we can do this in Apache Junction. I really feel like a general plan should come from within. It is a blueprint for the next 30 years, even though we do it every 10 years. It really lays down when developers come to us. We show them this. We show them our active transportation plans. We show them our goals, aspirations, and that's what we can do with this plan. So really, really important document, really important policy piece for us to consider.
Will the public have access to this if they want one? How can they get one?
The actual soft document's already out there in terms of the online version. Hard copies, Larry, can we have them at the library all over? And there's no reason not to.
Our plan was to, if this gets adopted after the public hearing, this is going to the voters on August 4th, so we certainly have additional work to do with Al, between now and August 4th. So we have a couple copies here tonight that people can have, but it's available online, and we probably will go get 50 to 100 of these bound so that they can be given to our partners and have copies in the library and at counters throughout the city. So yeah, there will be hard copies available.
Wherever you need us to put them, we'll have them,
Yep.
Thank you.
It's very informative. I appreciate it, and very well laid out.
Absolutely. I think, too, that it's really important that we realize that though this is a 30-year plan or longer, that there are some elements of this plan that we can begin to utilize now in order to get ready for that growth and for the possibility of the expansion further south, et cetera. If we just sit on the plan and say, yeah, we have a plan, but we don't do anything with the plan, then the plan's a pretty piece of paper that a lot of people put a lot of work into. So I think it's really important for us to remember that.
And when folks do go to look at a copy of this, on page 50, you'll see that the proposed planning area is larger than the city that we have now.
Right.
So it's going to double our size and more. So, and also a lot of roads to the south and to the east that have not been thought about previously. And Apache Junction city limits actually goes further to the east than most people realize right now. So.
Yeah, actually it goes all the way. We always say Mountain View Road, but the actual alignment's called Barkley Road alignment, which is a mile east of
It's beyond Silly Mountain.
It is, yes.
So this is an action item tonight or not?
It's a public hearing and then an action item for consideration to put, is a resolution.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Approach the podium and speak is how the public hearing works.
Again, George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia Street, AJ. I've been out here 40 years. The reason people come here is because it's not Mesa. They don't want Mesa. They don't want anything that looks like Mesa. I talk to people all the time. They don't want this and that and that. And I'm telling the voters right now, shut this down, all of it. There's no plans to fix my streets. There's been nothing done for my streets for 40 plus years. And I talked to Shane and Mike and everybody from the city. There are no plans to fix my streets. I can't even get them to get a valley gutter in my streets. Okay, so all of our houses flooded out this last rain. Granted, it was more than usual. That's no excuse. You know, some people say it's a floodplain. Other people say it's not a floodplain. Get your act together, because this plan is nothing. This doesn't help me, doesn't help my neighbors, doesn't help our part of town. It only makes somebody look good. And no agreement is gonna make it look better, bigger, faster. It's wrong. It's wrong for this community. You're worried about 10 years from now. You can't even fix my streets. What is the matter with you people? Get it right.
Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the residents, everybody who partook in all of the meetings that took place and all the input that we've got to put this together, and the staff worked really, really, really hard on this, and big kudos to put it all together. I think it's a very good plan that represents where Apache Junction is going to be headed over the next 30 to 50 years. If you take a look at some of the figures concerning the economic and housing and disparities, the population disparities and all that, I think that we've got a great plan to make everybody's lives, for not just the current citizens that live here in Apache Junction, but anybody who moves in here or decides to stay here and make a family and make a living and raise their kids here. I think it's a great plan to just move everything forward and make Apache Junction even a better place to live.
Anyone else? Yeah, I've always said, you know, we have like 3 cities in one. We have the rural areas where you can have horses if you want to move there. You have the urban areas where there are apartment buildings and a dense population. And you'll have this new area to the south, which if you don't like it, nobody's going to force anybody to move there. So it's great that we have all these and all the public input that put this plan together. So if no more discussion, I'll call for a motion.
Your Honor.
I think Robin beat you.
Okay.
She was in on the
I
motion
move
first.
that resolution number 20-02, resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, finding and determining certain facts and adopting the 2020-2050 general plan and submitting the plan to the city voters at the August 4, 2020 election for ratification be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Struble?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi?
Yes.
Mayor Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Discussion on a city fireworks policy. Krista, do you want to start this off?
Sure.
Why this came about and the constant questions that we as a council receive from the public?
Yeah, Your Honor. So, what was, Chip, New Year's Eve, we're going back to. So, Your Honor, for New Year's Eve, can't speak for all the council members, but I know Chip and I got a lot of questions about why the city is allowing the aerial fireworks that go up in the air and have the loud boom. Had a lot of complaints come in from community members, pets that get upset over it, large animals that get upset over this. And so I wanted to get some information from Joel about what the laws are, what the parameters are, and what the city can do, if anything, to help alleviate some of the situation, because they were going off everywhere around my neighborhood.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. Well, the day after that call to the public, I did do some research. And this is no surprise. We checked some valley cities on their ordinances online, and most of them have not been updated. And I noticed that because some still make it a crime. It's not a crime anymore. It's actually a civil ticket if someone is caught in the act of shooting it off. Back in 2012, when I was the prosecutor, I did prosecute one case where I felt sorry for the kid, but he's 18 years old and he shot off a firework right when the police officer got there. So he was caught red-handed. How often does that happen? Not very often. So I asked the chief. I said, Chief, I'm getting some just information from the internet that's not working. What can you send out a request from some of your chiefs on what they actually do? So he did, and we got some responses from Maricopa, Tempe, Flagstaff, Surprise, Mesa, Phoenix, and a few others. And they pretty much do everything that we do. We follow the law. The law changed in 2015. The legislature preempted cities and towns. So what a preemption means, they cut into our power, saying, okay, cities and towns, this is a statewide concern, and we're taking control of this. So in other words, cities and towns cannot just go and make whatever codes they want on fireworks anymore. So in 2015, it changed, and the state law, it's under Title 36. I won't bore you with all the statutes, but I'll just summarize it. It's a civil ticket for essentially fireworks that go up into the air. And so those are illegal. And firecrackers, bottle rockets, skyrockets, missile-type rockets, helicopters, that's what they're called, aerial spinners, torpedoes, Roman candles, mine devices. And these are non-permissible consumer fireworks. There are some that the state said are permissible. And those are ground and handheld sparkling devices, cylindrical fountains, cone fountains, illuminating torches, wheels, ground spinners, flitter sparklers, toy smoke devices, wire sparklers, and dipsticks. So what you're talking about
So
are the
Joel,
ones
just
that
make
go
sure
into the air.
Yeah, that's what I want to make sure that's very clear. Is it almost anything that's aerial or non-aerial?
Are not permissible any time of the year.
Anytime.
So it's not even a matter, Joel, that somebody can get a permit for those?
No, they can't. I mean, for the public displays, that's different, and that's a different regulation completely.
But for an individual, it is illegal to purchase and to set off these aerial ones?
The aerial ones, yes, they cannot do that. If they're caught, at the most, it's $1,000. One thing is interesting. The legislature decided, and it's HB, so House Bill 2470, I think it's still pending. They're changing the penalty section. So it's still civil up to a point. Right now, it's a $1,000 penalty. So if for a first violation is subject to a civil penalty of $1,000. For a second violation within 60 months after the first violation, it's $2,000. For a third violation within 60 months, so that's 5 years, and we're supposed to keep track of that for 5 years. This is the legislature, I don't know what else to say. After the first violation is guilty of a Class 3 misdemeanor. Well, a Class 3 misdemeanor fine is well below $2,000, so it goes down. I don't know what they're thinking, but they think that's going to help the situation. I think the fire chief is here, and he could explain additional information on what the fire district does. But as for the police department, on the nights like the 4th of July and New Year's, Captain or Commander Molitor can tell you how many people are on duty and how many calls they get roughly. And to actually catch someone within minutes of the call is very difficult.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't think it's a matter of anybody wanting to take away anybody's fun. I mean, most people enjoy fireworks, but for some people, and I don't know if Chip wants to speak to this, but for people that have large animals, it can become a huge safety issue. I had not had an issue prior to this last celebration, and we had a situation that was a dangerous situation with large animals of our own. And so it's about safety. And then we also have concerns when we'll have the 4th of July coming up. Look at all the rain. So we have all this extra growth, and now all these things that are growing are going to be dry, and potential additional fire hazards now. So, I don't know, Chip, if you wanted to speak to the large animal situation, but.
Well, I'm going to comment on that for the large animal. I'm talking about horses, mules, and donkeys as well. And that's besides the dogs. When one of those goes off, I'm going to say within 3 houses of your place, of your property, you first have a bright light, a massive explosion, and you yourself react to it, but your large animals react even much more, because this is something that they don't understand, they don't comprehend. They're not celebrating the 4th of July or the New Year. They're just standing around either eating or just walking, and all of a sudden here's this massive light and a major explosion. And they don't have the ability to comprehend that this is something that's not going to hurt them, but they are an animal of prey, which means that they feel that everybody and everything is out to get them, so therefore they react. It's not only, I'm going to say, possible of hurting the animals, but also it's possibility of hurting anyone that's out there at the time. When this past year, we had someone just 3 houses down from me decide to send them up for 3 nights in a row, decide to send up 4. We only sent out 4, which is not a great number, but each one of them, by the time we get the 4th one went off, the animals were very upset. And not only ours, but several neighbors has had the same problem. One neighbor actually, the horse went through a fence and was hung up in the fence, and it took some efforts to get the animal out of it. And there's possibility of breaking legs on a horse because they're all hung up in this metal fence. So I think more than anything else is, I know that we as a city can't do anything, but I think we need to, I'm going to say, educate as best we can. And I wish I could not be a council member and gone down 3 houses and made some few points of my own with my horse.
I still have a neighbor who is setting them off at least once a week. Oh,
No special occasion, they just do it.
they just do it. They just set them off. And Joe, did I hear you say it's illegal for someone to purchase a firework that goes skyward?
I believe they can purchase them, but they can't use them. It's a
Okay,
very
that's
strange
what I
thing in the law.
thought. So,
And you remember, before 2015, you couldn't buy them
Right.
on a lot. Well,
Right.
the lobbyists got to the legislators, and that's what happened. That's what was allowed. And so
So-
they're available everywhere.
so
they
the
can be
tents are
purchased.
anywhere. They can purchase anything within the tent. And all we can do as a community is actually see the guy with the light in his hand putting it to the fuse in order to actually stop it. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yes, because it's still a civil ticket, but
Okay.
there's still it's not a reasonable doubt, so it's not in the 80 to 90% proof, but at 50% at least. So 50.
Wow.
And also, I think if you're 16, if you sell to someone under 16, you can be prosecuted for a misdemeanor. There is another part in the law that says if it's on an area that has 15,000 acres as a preserve, and then it's a misdemeanor.
If they can't be shot off, why can they be purchased? What was the, any idea what the thought process was there?
It was the legislator.
Making money off of fireworks.
So we as a city don't have the ability to be stricter, to say you cannot purchase them.
Correct. The city is preempted, and the law specifically says that.
Out of the loop.
You can purchase them, but you can't set them off.
What I think is interesting too
Brilliant.
Yeah.
is that the culture or the ability to think we can do it in Arizona, in my mind, shifted when that state law changed. So for the 18 years that I've been here, those first years before this law changed, we didn't have any, we just knew in
Very
Arizona we
clear.
weren't supposed to do it.
Once
And then
in
the
a while.
ability just to open the gate a little bit. We do have some, but not some. Oh, we can do fireworks, and now it's get growing and.
Well, and there's a cost to the city to this too, because we have numerous pets that run away, and
Yeah.
Paws and Claws ends up having to pick them up or housing them, et cetera, et cetera. So the city has an expense going just for that.
Exactly.
Well, Chief Farber has given up his evening to come with us tonight, so I'd like to hear from him.
El, can you turn this on?
Does he help him out?
So I have what it actually looks like, and I apologize, I haven't missed a day of work in 39 years, so I gotta get home, do Tamiflu and steroids in order to get back.
Don't get close to me.
We have another event next year because the Cardinals are probably going to win the Super Bowl. They'll be setting them off again.
That'll be a third night, yeah.
Right after the band.
So last year, if you
Right after the Suns.
So last year, if you recall, these down here are the prohibited ones that Mr. Stern is talking about. Bottle rockets, Roman candles, aerial devices, M80s, cherry bombs, all that's prohibited. They're not supposed to light them or actually even purchase them. This part here, the prohibited non-aerial consumer fireworks, last year we put a stop to it because we were in a level 1 restriction. So there's level 1 restriction, which means you can only have campfires in the forest in special areas. And in level 2, you can't have any campfires at all. And of course, that goes with fireworks as well. And then when it's got closure, then no human beings can go in the forest. This part, the top part, sparklers, novelties, smoke devices, it still says flammable. The problem is, when you can buy them, it makes it very confusing to the consumer about if I can light them off. Now, Tempe and Chandler doesn't allow it. You can buy them there, but you can't light it only in private land, someone in a city that allows it. Now, I don't know how much it got challenged, and I know Rick Oakes is my fire marshal, and he freaks out every time I do something impetuous. So I just told him we're not doing it. It's we're in level 1 restriction, and I assume this fire year it's going to be even worse. Partly we've had prolonged drought, so there's a lot of dead trees, and then we got a lot of brush and sage and grass, and then so it takes it from the grass or the flashy fuels called 1-hour fire fuel. So even if you had rain the next day, they're ready to go, to the brush, to the dead overhanging trees that aren't limbed up, and it's up and running. So, for me, in July is when we have a problem with it, so we just shut it down, everything. The nice part is we talked to, I think it was ABC Fireworks, so we would never propose that we ban our annual show. But those are pyrotechnics, and they have us on standby, and we also have the state fire crews on standby. So I have zero concern that we're going to have a conflagration at the high school and eradicate everything in its path. In fact, I told this when we had the Woodbury fire, that I've evacuated Gold Canyon, I think in 95 or 96. There's no chance in the Phoenix area. We have the fastest response time in the state at 4 minutes and 13 seconds. We also have an auto aid system that just keeps bringing in resources. And at that time of year, because it's summer, we have a lot of forest people in state land. I have zero concern that we're going to lose a neighborhood or anything like that. However, I'm sure nobody wants their house scorched. And I think it's confusing to the people saying, well, we can't do the permitted non-aerial, and of course you can't do the aerial. But novelties and sparklers you can. I think that causes a lot more confusion. In July, if I could do what I wanted, is not have anybody light those in July. Now, we'll probably put restrictions anyway in the fire district, which encompasses the city and the county areas around here, because in fact, I have a map of our district. That covers Gold Canyon and all the areas around it. That will probably go into effect anyway, because we're going to have another bad season. The nice part is when we talk to the vendors in Walmart, they pulled the stuff off the shelves just like that. So getting back to this stuff here, confetti, I'm not really worried about kids doing that, but that's not enough money for the tents to make any money. They want to sell the bigger stuff like this stuff. So I have a concern, especially in July. January, I don't have any concern. Everything's green. So I don't see anything go on, but I know some cities ban it, so the weird part is you can sell it. I was making that comment earlier today. If we had prohibition, you could buy alcohol, but you can't drink it. It doesn't make any sense. That's my feeling on it. If you have any specific questions, though, I think this brush season is going to be worse than it was last season. Back in 2003, we had 202 wildland fires in Apache Junction, amongst our 10,000 calls. And then after that, we didn't have anything because there was no grasses. So we may have had 5 in a 5-year period, and they were like a quarter acre, and they didn't go anywhere. Last year, we had a bad season. And there's a lot of areas that didn't burn up. I have serious concerns up by mining camp area. A lot of the areas have extreme concerns, especially up north and in the city part. Nobody wants to have their stuff burned up. So that would be my concern with it.
What happens when the fire chief puts a ban or what do you call it, a ban? Or
Yeah, we put a ban on it.
does that change the, giving somebody a citation, or it doesn't change the ruling there? They're still, it's the same type of citation?
It's actually a civil if they're caught, but they have to be caught.
But again, they have to be caught,
Yeah.
even
Doesn't
with the
change-
ban.
She's asking,
Mike?
does it change anything? It doesn't. I think we have
No,
to
it
still
does
catch,
not.
yeah.
And I think what it did is it scared people more than anything. And it was an opportunity for education, and we just went to the vendors, and they don't want to lose this law. So they were more than happy to pull stuff off the shelf. It was done in less than 12 hours. Walmart was great, Fry's was great. They don't want to do anything really to cause problems. Now, there is a possibility of arson of an occupied structure if you put one of the prohibited devices and it catches a house on fire. Then you could be charged civilly. But again, here's the frustrating part. And it's the same thing with illegal burns. I was talking to Captain Molander today. Nothing's worse than having something that we tell you can't do, and then we can't cite. And I can't get the county attorney, because I used to have permission to cite people, and I used to do it quite often. And I can't get that. So it does, and it's frustrating for guys get called out these things, and we can't do anything. And it's frustrating, and it upsets the neighbors. And this is the same thing. Catching them in the act is difficult unless somebody's, I guess.
You mean it upsets the neighbors because we can't do anything? So
Yeah. So you get a call, the mayor gets a call, I get a call, my board members get a call, and our guys get frustrated. We're wasting fuel going to a house that for our neighbor dispute and can't do anything. Same with the fireworks. Our guys go there, and at least I should have been a cop. I got a blue shirt on because I can't stand people getting away with stuff. Right. So nothing's more frustrating than get called and you can't do much to it because you don't have a witness. Now, a question I have for the city attorney, Mr. Stern, is if someone would film that, like on Facebook, or not Facebook, but on their phone, would that be permissible in court or not?
Yeah, I think everyone in here has a cell phone with a video camera on it.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's identified, if the person's identified in a phone, that kind of evidence can be used as long as it's identifiable. But we need a witness to say, yeah, that's the person who did it. So
Yeah.
just Facebook by itself, no, because Facebook's not true. That's what some people think. But when you have an image of someone who actually did it, you still need a witness. So yeah, I was there, I saw it happen. So you really need that kind of evidence. There's also a seizure, meaning you can take, if an officer shows up, missed the action of someone lighting it, but there's 12 more bottle rockets ready to set up, the officer can take those. That's under 36-1607. So there's some seizure issues, but it's really tough. The state really intruded on the city's power here.
Can I ask for a clarification? Mike, you said private land. That term, is that your home? Is that?
From what I read yesterday and reading up on it, because I was here yesterday, nobody else was, so. So anyway, it gave me a chance to read up on it, was if a city doesn't allow it, they sell it, like Tempe, for instance. You have to go to private land that's owned and get permission from the owner in a city that will allow that, which you bought it. That's kind of confusing. And then the fact is, it's so difficult to enforce that.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe everything I read.
I don't know what Tempe says, but there is, the state prohibition is
Right.
pretty clear,
Okay.
36-1606.
Yeah.
And it says the sale and use of permissible consumer fireworks are of statewide concern. That's what they say anytime they want to stop the city from doing what it should be allowed to do. The regulation of permissible consumer fireworks pursuant to this article and their sale or use is not subject to further regulations by a governing body except as follows. And then it goes on for about 3 or 4 pages on what we can and cannot do. So there's certain time periods too where yes, the city could ban it. However, it's catching someone is very difficult.
Where I was comfortable last year putting the ban in, the fire was going crazy and everybody was panicking. And so since it had a level 1 or stage 1 restriction, that helps us with the Forest Service. Since what's unique about Apache Junction and Gold Canyon, we have an urban interface. Tempe doesn't. Chandler really doesn't. We have a lot of stuff in the natural resources we could destroy, and it takes a long time to come back. So what we did, and I'll just read this real quickly to you. Due to extreme fire danger, Superstition Fire Medical District is restricting the sale and use of fireworks within its boundaries. No permits for public fireworks sales will be issued in Stage 1 or higher fire restrictions are implemented. Stage 1 fire restrictions are currently implemented and not expected to cease until August 30th, 2019. The same time frame, all public sales and use of fireworks will be strictly prohibited. This ban is effective immediately and will strictly enforced by SFMD and local law enforcement agencies, within reason, obviously. Deregulated novelties will be permitted. So what's prohibited is fireworkers, Roman candles, bottle rockets, sky rockets, aerials, anything that discharges up in the air. Ground sparkler devices, sparkling wheel devices, ground-based sparklers, and Chinese paper lanterns, which is the worst thing ever, are prohibited. Fireworks that were permissible, and I disagree with my fire marshal on this, handheld sparklers, morning glories, wire stick sparklers. I sound like Joe Dirt. Smoke devices, smoke cones, cylindrical and smoke calendars, novelty snakes, snappers, drop pops, and party poppers. Who the heck knows what those are? And so and they all pulled everything, and they're not making any money on the snakes and stuff like that. But I'm extremely concerned with the urban interface, and that's a shame if we lose anything. And when you have strong winds, and then you got a drought, that's the quote, recipe for disaster, so to speak. So.
Okay, thank you.
What you bet?
So, Your Honor,
Yes.
as I understand it, the bottom line is the state has preempted us from doing much of anything.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also put a restriction on what kind of crime it can be. It's only a crime in certain locations, or I'm sorry, in certain situations. And if that House bill passes, then it does add another layer of a misdemeanor, but the fine's lower than the civil one, so I don't understand that.
So after 5 years, they get a deal.
The city used to be able to say, and our code still has a provision that says it's illegal to set off fireworks, and it's a Class 1 misdemeanor, but that's no longer operative.
Okay, so.
Just so people understand, that this isn't a sole issue that the city's being restricted or limited by what we can do for our citizens and for our property, or that we have to regulate, the city council and the city staff have to regulate and enforce and such. There's some other things that the state legislature has done that has limited our ability to do just that, and I'm just gonna say it, I just want you guys to be aware of that and go out and look and follow other issues that are going on that they limit us on.
This was informational item. We wanted to kind of pre-discussion before if there was direction. We will certainly follow up with Al Bravo and continue to do education as we talked about, Vice Mayor, or you talked about. Continue to do that.
We didn't have a lot of items to have a work session, so we rolled those two together, and by doing that, we saved the city thousands of dollars in the course of a year by unifying these meetings like this. So, moving on, do we have a motion on upcoming council dates?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. and a work session at 7 p.m. for Monday, February 17th be canceled in honor of President's Day, and that an executive session at 6 p.m. and a work session at 7 p.m. for Tuesday, February 18th, 2020, be held in the City Council Conference Room and City Council Chambers located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard, Apache Junction, Arizona, respectively, and other meetings if necessary.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Rizzi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Struble?
Yes.
Mayor Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
This is the time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Each speaker must have already filled out a request to speak form and handed it to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in discussion on the issue presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly and replace this matter on a future agenda for council discussion. There's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. The first one we have is George Schroeder.
George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia. AJ, we do have our fair share of Joe Dirts. I agree with Mr. Wilson. It's a problem. I would hate to see shadow and like animals be affected by this type. But I've been here a very long time, and we got people, there's no limit. You know, they want to set off full sticks of dynamite. You know, I hear them, you know, days and weeks after the first of the year, after the 4th of July. I mean, I hear them 2 doors down. A stick of dynamite. I mean, that's a little uncalled for. But it's a lot like the noise laws that we have. The legislature, and I know these people very well, I deal with them more than you do, they feel that their rights as a citizen, they get to vote. People vote for those people, and their votes say that they can supersede the city. Well, that's because their family wants to do that. They're not in the city. We are. So there's a conflagration there. And it's never going to be solved as long as we hire and people that have a general plan that's going nowhere, that don't affect my streets, my neighborhood. Code enforcement was out at Mr. Mobley's house, and he was there 5 minutes and just left. Nothing. This house has been abandoned, and nobody's doing nothing about it. If they are, please stand up, correct me. The garbage. It's not going to work, okay? I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. I'll be the first victim. You want to come after somebody? Come after me. I quit my garbage service in September. I begged them to take the can. I made them take the can. Not going to work, okay? You do whatever you're going to do. I'm not getting a garbage service. I have other ways to get rid of my garbage legally. The voters don't have anything to do with this general plan. It's not for you. It's for people who think they own this state, own this city. Please stop these people in their tracks.
William Wallingford.
Mr. Mayor, council people, William Wallingford, 2055 North Cortez Road, Apache Junction. This video is from the House Regulatory Affairs Committee. It was taken on February 3rd at the state capitol. It concerns House Bill 2389, which is dealing with the noise complaints and using decibel meters. The House bill was submitted by Kelly Townsend, and Mr. Mohideen spoke. I am concerned that he is not telling the truth, and I want you to be aware of what he has said, and Braden Biggs was also there.
My name is Mahmoud Mohideen. I own a restaurant. It's called the Hitching Post Pizza in Apache Junction. And we have a similar issue in Apache Junction. The neighboring people, they just moved in about a year or two ago. There's a total of about 9 neighbors. One neighbor lives over there since 2007. And this commercial property been over there over 35 years. Then now the neighbors started complaining about the noise. Particularly, 289 phone calls was made in 2 years. None of them found it. No noise. And City of Apache Junction, directing those people to make those phone calls, we have a police report stating that, please, when the people call to the police, there's a noise issue, officer shows up, would you like us to call you back, find out how noisy is, what's going on? No. Please send the information to city attorney. Please send the information to court compliance. Please send the information to chief of police. We have several police logs stating that, and has been directed to those people. And now they issue me 15 count of a criminal nuisance charges. And there's no solid evidence. They have the video, and the USA Forensic Company determined that video that was altered. Those people submitted those altered video to Planning and Zoning Commission. They submitted those planning and the council and got approved and all that stuff. Now I'm facing 18 count or 17 count of a nuisance charges. Find out, provide that all the information to county attorney. They do not want to drop the charges. City of Apache Junction say we're going to create that property as a nuisance and they'll sell it to highest bidder. If they sell it to highest bidder, I'm the one sitting at 18 acres of properties, commercial property where they want to build. There's apartment complex, high-rise building, or condos. That's what I got my American dream, to came over here to deal with this one. I worked 28 years to work hard to save money and to start my business. I lost my house, sell the house to pay the attorney fees. There's some kind.
That's 3 minutes, we're gonna have to go.
Thank you.
Municipalities.
Did he really sell his house?
Ordinances
He can.
to counties and fire districts. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Parcel.
Yeah, that was
Whole
3 minutes.
parcel.
I'm sorry, what?
He can't because it's part of the whole parcel. He has to sell the whole parcel.
I think it was a different home.
I don't know, I didn't hear the beginning of that. What,
I said he can't because it's a whole parcel.
he can't what?
He can't sell the home on the parcel because it's the whole parcel.
Hey, Joe, not sure what we're discussing.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know what you're discussing.
I don't either.
We
I don't,
Can't discuss it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
sorry about that.
okay.
Forgive me, please.
Donna Carr.
2178 West Virginia Street, Apache Junction. My name's Donna Carr. I know that you guys have already made the decision on the trash, but just to say, if you follow the money, Republic Services is owned by Blackstone Corporation. RAD is an Apache Junction business. You say shop Apache Junction, shop local. I'd like to shop local, but I also like to have my choice. I should not be forced into having a specific trash company. I should have a choice. This is not a communist country. I believe in choices. And if you follow the money, you'll find out that Republic Service is owned by Blackstone Corporation. If you follow them, this 100 businesses is owned by this corporation. This 100 businesses, this corporation. Take 5 corporations, it is owned by this corporation here. They make so much money that they can't tell you how much money they make. That's how much money they're making. I believe in the mom and pop businesses. I don't know how long your contract is with Republic Services, but you need to think before you make a decision on who you're gonna go with. Look up the information. I looked up information, which is another thing. Apache Junction Waste now has Republic Service Apache Junction Waste on their sign. Just saying. Then the other thing is, what I don't understand is when I went to the department down here to find out who owned the property and stuff. Oh yeah, and RAD just spent $13 million on a recycle plant out there on Baseline. Apache Junction, gee, another business that is going to end up going down because we're taking contracts away from them. Why not give to your local businesses? That's what I believe. Thank you for your time.
Matt, I think the volume got up for the video and then it didn't come back down. Ken Coburn.
My name is Ken Coburn, 384 North Valley Drive, Apache Junction. Good evening, Mayor, council people. About 5 months ago, I brought up looking into an ordinance to change storage containers from 1.25 acres to 1 acre. A couple meetings ago, I heard the response of the council, and it seemed to get blown way out of what I was asking. I wasn't asking to put 10, 15 containers or changing the context of what the container was actually to be used for. Just a storage container. Not apartments, housings, playrooms, or anything like that. I just wanted to clarify my intent of what I was asking for. Thank you.
Does council have any requests of staff to follow up on? Seeing none, then I will adjourn the meeting.